Look, we get it. We know that this is pretty dark times right now, especially in the winter. There's no Eagles football. Spring training is still pretty far away. The Flyers are on their break in the midseason, and the Sixers are going through it a little bit right now. But we are here to brighten up your day and hopefully your week as well on this episode of Sports Talk Philadelphia. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sports Talk Philadelphia. As always, I'm your host, Aiden Tuksinski, and I'm joined by my panel from last week, which is the first time we've had the same panel in consecutive weeks in a while. So first off, we got Shane Nolan. Shane, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Riley Kowchuk in the middle. Riley, how are you?
I've been better after this week.
Yeah, this week's been a little bit rough. And then Braden Knapp. Braden, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, good to hear. So we're going to start off on a more serious note. As most people know, we like to have fun. And if you watch the show a lot, you know that we have a very cool intro video, but we had to change it due to unfortunate circumstances. And those unfortunate circumstances is that Flyers goalie Carter Hart did get arrested. Him and 4 other Canadian hockey players were charged with sexual assault in a case from 2018. News coverage is being scheduled by the London, Ontario Police on Monday, and that conference will be the first time we hear about the case. Overall, Hart this season, 12-9-3 with a 2.8 goals saved per game and 9.06 save percentage in this season. So Shane, we're going to start with you. Obviously very serious circumstances, and it does seem like that this could be the end to Carter Hart's career in Philadelphia, if not the NHL in general.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, if they're proven guilty, I mean, the thing, most likely this trial won't go to court won't go into trial until 2026. So it can be a while until we know everything and what's going to happen with these players. But Carter Hart is a restricted free agent after the end of this season anyway. So, I mean, the NHL they can either suspend these players, they can terminate their contracts with their teams and stuff like that. So there's a lot of options for these players here. But yeah, if he's found guilty, he probably won't be playing hockey ever again.
Yes, so he's one of 4 current NHL players right now. There was a 5th one who's playing professionally in Switzerland who had to go back to Canada. Again, this case goes back to 2018. The reason it was reopened is because the Ontario Police found out that there was a settlement paid off by Hockey Canada. When it came to that case, it was not disclosed to the police until after the settlement was paid. So then they did their own criminal investigation. The NHL did an investigation. So Shane, there's been a lot that's happened recently, just in the last 2 years. So it seemed like that this probably was on the Flyers' radar, but now it's come to light even more this past week.
Yeah, it has. I mean, they had the investigation started in 2018, then they closed it in 2019 because they said they found no evidence, and then because of what you just said, with the settlement that Hockey Canada had with the person that it happened to, so they reopened it back over in April of 2022, and over that summer, there were players who came out who said that they weren't part of it, they weren't there at the time it happened, and there were certain other players there, though, obviously, and so yes, some of the teams had an idea of what was going to happen, but I'm pretty sure they weren't allowed to talk about it or anything like that, because when these players went on leave, the teams weren't allowed to answer any questions or say anything.
Yeah, and as far as we know, the teams still aren't answering questions. They're saying that any questions just go straight to the NHL at this point. Gary Bateman's supposed to speak next Tuesday, so we will be covering the story more as more information comes to light. Going back to the ice, the Flyers are in 3rd place still going into the All-Star break. Still looking pretty solid, but they have slipped in the last couple of games. You've got the Islanders and Penguins and Devils all trying to catch up to them. So, Shane, it's great to see that the Flyers are in 3rd place. I don't think many people expect them to be anywhere close to that at the All-Star break, but it does feel like that this is a really good chance for them to make the playoffs and starting to not necessarily slip away, but it's starting to feel like it's more dicey than it was for a lot of this season.
Yeah, it does, and especially probably because you lost Owen Tippett for a couple of those games that you lost. He got hurt in the Colorado game, which started the losing streak, and he's an important player to this team. He just signed a big contract, 8-year deal with them as well. So you kind of miss him, and he's probably been your best player overall, I would say. Even though you have Travis Konechny, but he slipped a bit. So everything that's going on with the team around the team is kind of could be what's causing this losing streak and stuff like that. You know, they need this break to clear their heads and everything, spend time with family and stuff. So this break could be helpful for them.
Yeah, one of the positions where they've really struggled at is goalkeeper in the last couple of games. Samuel Earsson's done a very, very good job, all things considered, but he still has a 12-9-3 record, which isn't great. The 2.6 goals allowed per game is pretty good. The .898 save percentage is good, but not at the same level that you would want in a goaltender. So do you think that the Flyers will be looking for another goaltender either over the All-Star break or before the trade deadline?
I don't think so, because they have a ton of goalie prospects in the pipeline. So I don't think they see Sam Ersson as a future starter for this team. So I don't think they would be. I mean, the defense hasn't really been helping out a lot during this losing streak, so that has a lot to do with it. He's been playing a lot as well, so he's a young goaltender that can be a lot for a young goaltender. So I think that's just he's just like this team. He needs this break. So.
Yeah, and when you look at the Flyers the last couple of games leading up to the All-Star break, not very good. 12-9-16, which again is a very good record. Finished the first half though on a 5-game losing streak, like Sage said. And when you saw their last win, it was January 18th versus the Stars, which was a great game for them to have. But after that, it really seemed like that was their peak, and now it started to slide down a little bit.
Yeah, it has. I mean, the Stars game, they scored 5 or 6 goals in that game, and you're thinking they're still rolling and stuff like that, and the losing streak happens, and it could just be, you know, they're tired out a little bit because this team isn't really, they don't have that superstar, that high-end talent yet that other teams have, like Connor McDavid at Edmonton, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, all that. So they could be just sustain. I mean, you could still sustain how they're playing and still make the playoffs. But if anything, maybe drop back into a wild card spot, because I just don't think that not having that high end talent, you can sustain that throughout the year and still be one of the top teams in the division.
Yeah, and the Flyers front office has been very upfront in saying that they would like to add another piece, and that pretty much anyone could be on the trade block. But Shane, it does feel like that this is still a rebuilding team. You don't want to make any huge trades when there's still guys that are learning how to play the game and progressing really well.
You know, and Danny Briere said that. He said that at the trade deadline, they're not doing anything to try and make this team better to get into the playoffs. He's still sticking with the plan of they're rebuilding. They're not going to sell any top prospects or anything like that, just to try to make the playoffs and try to be a good team. So, and that's good to hear after last year. That's what you like to hear. So.
Yeah, we will definitely be looking forward to seeing how the Flyers progress after the All-Star break. Again, they're in a very good spot, not one that we thought they were going to be in. We're now going to go to the Sixers, who have really struggled in this road trip. So last week on the episode, we made some predictions. We were hoping that it was going to go well for them. It has been the complete opposite of that. So they lost to the Pacers starting out 134-132, lost a close game to the Nuggets in which Embiid didn't play, then lost to the Trailblazers, got absolutely destroyed by them actually, and then Embiid finally comes back for the Warriors game, and they still lose that one. So Riley, definitely not the road trip that we were hoping for the Sixers team.
Not at all. And I've came to the conclusion that the week prior, when I hype up a team, they usually don't disappoint me. But no, it definitely is something we didn't want to see. We didn't expect to see. We should have won the game with the Pacers. With the Nuggets, people already had suspicions that Embiid wasn't going to play. Lo and behold, he didn't play. But there could be multiple reasons for that. I don't think it's just because of some whatever.
Yeah, there's rumors that Mr. Embiid is missing games because he didn't want to play against Jokic, which I say is a little bit untrue, to put it very nicely. But Braden, when you see that the team still played okay without Embiid, not necessarily in the win column, but certain guys definitely did step up, but then to see him come back and they still lose, that's not a huge confidence booster when you're on a losing streak like that.
Yeah, it's not very good, and unfortunately, we did play like fairly all right. I mean, Paul Reed had a really good game, which the only thing about that is that that's not going to happen every week. He's not going to get 30 points every game. That's just not going to happen. And yeah, unfortunately, without Embiid, kind of hosed, fortunately.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't have Embiid for some of these games. You didn't have Maxey for a couple of them. So the Sixers, Riley, in my opinion, it showed the limitations that they have. I mean, every team, you're going to lose when you don't have their best players. And there is guys that did step up, but it does feel like that they need everyone together if they're going to make a run for the championship.
And Portland, when they played Portland, that was a prime example of it. They didn't have their 2 star players, and their shooting was just completely off that day. It was not good. It was not the best game, but that just like shows that you need like these 2 like prime puzzle pieces to really structure the team.
Yeah, I mean, the first half was really close, and then Portland just started making shots the Sixers couldn't, and the game got away from them. Braden jumped the gun a little bit on Paul Reed, but that's totally fine because we are getting to it right now. Paul Reed had an amazing game playing for Embiid, who didn't play because of his knee injury. He had 30 points, 13 rebounds versus the Nuggets, and for the season, you see that's well above his season stats at 6.2 points per game and 4.9 rebounds per game. So, I mean, like Braden said, Riley, you're not going to get this from Paul Reed every game, but it was really nice to see it from him.
Definitely was, and this isn't the first time that when we needed Paul Reed, he delivered. That's when he got the name B-Ball Paul. That's when he started like really showcasing what he can do. So this game was just another example that when you put in perspective someone you need and you give him that like authority that, okay, I need to go out there. The two better players of the team are not here. I need to like show them what I can do. And then him going out there and doing that is the best like example.
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys are a little bit new, so you haven't had this debate with us, but we've always debated on the show about who the backup center is going to be for Embiid in the playoffs. And Paul Reed's always a name that gets thrown out there. Well, Mo Bamba's also on the team now, Braden. So it does feel like that this is now set up to be another debate that happens for what feels like the 3rd or 4th year in a row.
I know, it's kind of crazy. And when we signed Mo Bamba, I honestly thought Mo Bamba would be the backup. But, I mean, especially looking after a game against the Nuggets, Paul Reed show that he can step up, and he has stepped up in the past. So right now, I feel like if I was answering the question, I'd honestly go with Paul Reed, honestly.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to stick with the hot hand, even though Paul Reed is definitely an undersized center, and it sort of just goes either way. But I guess we will see what happens between all of these guys. And then when you go with the Eastern Conference standings, the Sixers, this 4-game streak is killing them because now you're down with the Celtics playing really well. The Bucks are still up there. The Knicks have gone on a run, and we'll talk about that in Fast 5. But they've also been passed by the Cavs, and the Pacers are still playing really well. So, Riley, they're going to need to bounce back really soon after this losing streak.
Definitely, and it sucks seeing them go from 3rd all the way down to 5th. It's not as easy to get back up than going down. Going down is very easy because you don't play as a team, you lose. Common sense. But everyone else, the Bucks, the Knicks, they've been playing well as a team. They definitely deserve their spot up there, and they're going to keep playing as they've been playing, considering we're getting closer to the end of the season and no one really wants to like mess around anymore.
Yes, so for a while we were talking about the Sixers maybe making a run past the Celtics and Bucks. Well, now they've lost 4 straight. This month the Cavaliers went 10-2 to wrap up January, and the Pacers have won 3 out of 4. So, Braden, we were very hopeful for the Sixers, and I think we still are in a sense. But you see these teams making a run out of the play-in, and the Sixers are starting to fall closer to the play-in. It's not a great feeling when you only have 2.5 months left of the season.
I know, it's really not. I mean, this team is not a play-in tournament team.
Mm-hmm.
We should definitely be in the playoffs, not have to go through the stupid tournament that we have now. But unfortunately, especially if Embiid doesn't play and if Maxey doesn't play, we may be a playoff team.
Yeah, you don't want to get into the play-in because a lot of different things can happen. As we've seen, 7 seeds, it's not automatic that they will win those play-in games. So you really just want to be those first 6 in. And when you look at the Sixers schedule coming up, it doesn't get really that much easier. The Jazz and Nets are both like middle of the pack. But then you got the Mavericks, who are playing very, very good basketball at 26 and 21. So it's about Pacers level, but you also have to worry about Luka Doncic. So when you see these matchups coming up, Riley, these games the Sixers should win, but that's what we thought about these first 4 on this road trip. And they still have got 1 more against the Jazz. So it is a little bit sketchier than I think we thought going into it.
Yeah, they definitely have a tougher schedule coming up, and it's very concerning to think that we more than likely won't have Embiid for some of these games because he is undergoing an MRI soon. So who knows what that's going to turn out. But the Jazz has beat us before. The Nets now have Ben Simmons back. And the Mavs, Luka and Embiid, that's always been like a big debate also. So it'll be exciting to see, but I want to stay hopeful, but they've proven that I shouldn't say that they're going to win on this show anymore.
Yeah, I think most people are looking forward to that Luka Embiid matchup. Braden, I saw your little smirk over there about Ben Simmons. Are you not worried about him shooting a couple threes on us and winning them the game?
I mean, to put it in the nicest way possible, no. I'm not. I'm really excited for the game to watch him play against Sixers, though, but no worries at all.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I just want to preference, that was all sarcasm, not worried at all. I do want to point out that Ben Simmons has also missed some games against the Sixers, the way that people say that Embiid is against Jokic. So kind of funny that Simmons doesn't get that much pushback, but Riley, I think that's because there's so many expectations league-wide about Embiid, and no one really cares about Ben Simmons anymore.
And there was also another reasons why Simmons didn't play against the games versus Philadelphia, but I won't get too much into that.
Yeah, the audience will definitely make an impact for that one, but we still got a couple games till that one. The Jazz one, Braden, I am worried about now just because, again, this is the end of the road trip. It hasn't gone very well for them. I feel like they need to win this one, not just for record-wise or standings, but just for that moral feeling of coming back into Philly and getting at least one of these games on the road.
Yeah, I mean, it would be it's honestly, like you said, it's honestly mandatory that they get this win against the Jazz to wrap up their horrible streak they've had here. But I mean, it's a question of if Embiid is going to come back and if he's going to play for this game. But yeah, like you said, they need to win this next game.
Yeah, and Embiid, I think he can only miss 7 more games before he's out of the MVP running, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on as well. We're going to see if Maxey can come back at some point. And I just want to see these bench players keep playing well. I'm not expecting Paul Reed to drop 30 every game, but it would be nice to see that we have a very comparable backup if Embiid's out for any stretch in this last part of the season. I want to see other guys play as well. So it'll be very fun to watch the Sixers for this next 2.5 months. We're now going to go to NFL talk, not Eagles talk, because the Eagles are out of it, but there was still football games on Sunday, and they were very fun to watch. We had the Chiefs beating the Ravens, the AFC Championship, in a close 17-10 game, an even closer game between the 49ers and Lions. So we will get to the Chiefs, but Braden, when you see the way this NFC Championship went, the Lions were blowing out the 49ers. 49ers came back. It was just an awesome game overall, even though a lot of people were rooting for the Lions.
It was an amazing game to watch, and like you said, I was also one of those people rooting for the Lions, and they're super annoying, but also a little part of me is a little happy that C.J. Gardner-Johnson, after leaving us after a year, gets that little revenge on him. But, I mean, everyone in America wanted the Lions to win, so it was a bit tough seeing them ahead and then blowing it.
Yeah, that play that we just saw on the replay by Ayuk, absolutely amazing that the defender is right there to make a play. Ayuk ends up making that catch. And it felt like there was a couple turning points, not converting on the 4th and 3rd down with the ball going to Reynolds and just not being caught. But then, Riley, when you look at the AFC Championship games, it wasn't as close in score-wise, but the game felt closer all the way through in this one.
Yeah, and it was upsetting to see it. I wanted the Ravens to win. I think what messed them up was, I think it was towards the beginning, the taunting penalty on Baltimore.
Yep.
That, right before the touchdown, that really could have saved them, I feel like, or at least made it a little closer in score. But, oh well.
Yeah, I mean, Zay Flowers, first of all, he gets the taunting penalty, which was on a huge play that got them to the 10-yard line, so they still get the ball at the 25. He then is able to make a second play where he fumbles at the 1-yard line into the end zone for the Chiefs to recover. And it's just, I understand, Braden, that he's a young rookie wide receiver. These guys are going to lose their cool at certain points. But it's what you do to bounce back, and he didn't bounce back at all after he made that really stupid taunting penalty.
I know, and like it was a little stupid, but also like today, Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce, the newest episode of the podcast came out, and they said everyone taunts. It's just a part of the game. It's in every sport, not just football. It's just part of the game. Your emotions are high. You want to taunt. So I don't think anyone was really mad at him for that taunting, but it's that bounce back and then you fall on the 1 yard. It's horrible. I feel bad for him, but I think it's just one of those rookie moments you just got to learn from and move on.
Yeah, it hopefully will be a learning experience, and Zay Flowers was really, really good this year, so I don't expect this to hinder his career at all. It's just a really unfortunate rookie moment. But the Super Bowl is now set, and it's going to be a good one between the Chiefs and 49ers. It's a matchup of the 2019 Super Bowl in which the Chiefs won 31-20. That one was one where the Chiefs were down 20-10 for most of the game and went on a crazy run in the fourth quarter. So, Riley, I know that this isn't the Super Bowl that a lot of people wanted, but I feel like this is going to still be a very good Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting, especially because we kind of seen it before, so we can like compare and contrast how they played in 2019 and now 2024. So it will be interesting to see that. I'm hoping the Chiefs don't win, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are rooting against the Chiefs, even though a lot of people, I think, wanted a Ravens-Lions Super Bowl. Clearly, that didn't happen. One thing that is really important, in my opinion, with the Chiefs team, is they're winning in different ways. This year, they're only allowing 14 points per game in the playoffs. Usually, it's been the offense that carries them. So, Braden, the way that Steve Spagnuolo has ran this defense for the Chiefs, and that's how they're winning games, completely different. But I feel like that makes it even harder to beat them because they have a great offense with the talent they have. But now the defense is stepping up too.
I know, it makes it really difficult because that was one thing, at least the last couple of years, like, okay, Chiefs offense and then is amazing, but like their defense is a little weak point in that. But now it's looking really scary because obviously the way they've been running their defense this year has been great. So, yeah, I mean, for the 49ers, I mean, it's fine because the 49ers have arguably the best offense in the league, but it will be tough to see how that goes.
Yeah, and then quickly before we wrap up this segment, Super Bowl predictions from all three of you and Shane, if you want to jump in as well. Somebody start.
I'll go. Okay. No way I'm picking the Chiefs to win this. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go 31 to 20.
Okay. All right.
I'll go Chiefs 35-28.
Okay, so close game.
Yeah, I would do a similar score last time. I would do 30. Let's just go 34-31 San Fran.
All right, I think that the Chiefs shut down the 49ers offense. I'm going to go with the 49ers only scoring 10. I'm going to have the Chiefs scoring 24. I don't think Mahomes loses in these big games. He typically doesn't, other than when he's facing Tom Brady. And I love Brock Purdy, but he is no Tom Brady. So that wraps up this segment. Of course, we'll come back and see how wrong all of our predictions were for this segment. But before we wrap up the show, we're going to go to Fast Five, and we're going to start with Braden on his biggest story of the NFL season this year.
Okay, so there actually has been a fair few of big NFL stories this year, but I mean, for me, two come to mind. I think one of them is the return of Sean Payton coming back for the Broncos, starting off the season not very good, but ending the season close to the playoff push. But I think the big one, I think everyone should agree with, is the rise of the Detroit Lions, how great they played this year, coming from, or starting off years ago, I mean, one of the worst teams in the league, and now they're one of the best teams in the league, and upcoming, it's going to be great for them. But yeah, I think the rise of the Lions is the biggest NFL story this year.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the way that the Lions played, it was a really, really cool just experience for Detroit fans overall. So it was really good to see the Lions win. We're now going to go to a baseball question with Shane. Reese Hoskins is officially signed with the Brewers, leaving the Phillies. What is your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all seen this coming after Bryce Harper played first base this year. He was already on the last year of his original contract with the Phillies, and then he got hurt in spring training and didn't play for the rest of the year. And then obviously Bryce Harper comes back and plays first base. So I think everyone's seen this coming. Yeah, it's sad because he kind of rejuvenated like the Phillies, and he kind of brought the fans back when he came up in 2017. So yeah, it's sad to see someone like that go. But I mean, it's baseball, and it's something that needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, business comes first, and you see there's really just no position for him on the field. Like Shane said, it was him and Aaron Nola that really brought the fans back to the stadium. So it is going to be very, very sad to see both of these guys. Well, at least one, because Nola did get re-signed this year, but Reese Hoskins is no longer going to be to Philly. We're now going to go back to Braden with another football question. So Kellen Moore, who was the offense coordinator for the Cowboys the last couple of years, this year he was on, I believe it was the Chargers, and now he's going to be the Eagles offense coordinator. So what is your thoughts on this?
Yeah, honestly, I do kind of like it. He was obviously most well known for being on the Cowboys, and he actually was a very good coordinator for the Cowboys. But like, what I have a quote here from Jason Kelsey. He's done a little bit of everything, which I kind of like that. I mean, it could be a bad thing, but I mean, I kind of like that. He's done a little bit of everything, and Jason Kelsey has even said he's one of the best offensive minds in the game. So honestly, I think it's kind of great because if Jason Kelsey approves of him, I mean, how could you not approve of him?
Yeah, I know. It is going to be a very cool moment. I did hear Hugh Douglas make a comment saying that he wants Kellen Moore to wipe that smug look off his face that he had every time he was the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys. But again, I mean, he was an awesome coordinator for them. Their offense just improved a lot in his time there. When you saw how he played at Boise State as a quarterback, I think that the way that the league's going is with coordinators that played quarterback. So I think it is a really, really good move on the Eagles' part to get one of the best play callers in the league. We're now going to go to Riley. The Knicks are playing very, very well, and it's going to be a little bit scary for the Sixers right now.
Yeah, as much as I don't want to say that because they are part of our Eastern Conference, they are not a bad team, especially with Jalen Brunson dropping a good amount of points every game he plays. They can get up there, but I still don't. I think the Celtics are pretty set in stone where they're at right now. So the Knicks, getting to the Celtics could be possible because they are getting better, but I'm hoping not, and maybe the Sixers will turn everything around again.
Yeah, OG Anunoby, who was on the Raptors, got traded to the Knicks, and at that moment, the Knicks really picked up their pace. Like Riley said, you got Jalen Brunson, who there's people arguing whether or not he's an elite player or not. He clearly is. I understand that he's not a big guy the way Jokic and Embiid are running the league, but he's still an amazing player. We're now going to go to college basketball to wrap up. So I'm a very big fan of niche college basketball, and we talked about the Sun Belt on the show for football reasons, but their basketball conference, it is a very good basketball conference at the point, especially with two of their top teams. So you got Appalachian State, who we've talked about for football before. They're 17-4, 8-1 in conference play, and then you got James Madison, who's 6-3 in conference play, with two of their losses coming to App State. Could there be two teams from this conference making the tournament? Typically with mid-majors, they only go for the conference winner, so one of these would probably have to win. But if it is James Madison who wins the conference, I could see App State getting a spot. Probably as an at-large, they would probably be between 14 to 16 in the bracket. But this is a team that's very, very competitive. I mean, their best player right now is Trayvon Spillers, 14 points per game, 8 rebounds. I mean, he's playing really well. So it will be interesting to see how this all shakes up. That will wrap up this episode of Sports Talk Philadelphia. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, we're going to push our social media at you on Sports Talk LTV on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching. As we said on every other episode, we're going to keep following all of the Philadelphia sports teams as they make their run towards the playoffs. And spring training will be starting soon, so we can't wait to cover that as well. Make sure to keep watching future episodes, and thank you for watching this one.
Audio